Okay, welcome to this evening's Daly City Recreation meeting for December 5th, Tuesday evening. For those wishing to address the Recreation Commission on any item on the agenda or under public appearances or oral communications, please complete a speaker card located at the entrance of the City Council chambers and submit to staff member as early in the meeting as possible. Also, persons with disabilities who require auxiliary aids or services in attending or participating in this meeting should call the Department of Library and Recreation Services as soon as possible prior to the meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order by standing for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Joseph, may we have the roll call, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Landos is not here, and Commissioner Wilcox is not here, but how about Commissioner Luna?
I'm here.
And how about Vice Chair Sisson?
Present.
Chair Pastor?
Here. Okay. I get an approval of the agenda for this evening.
I motion to approve the agenda.
I second.
Okay, those in favor of approving this evening's agenda do say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And also the approval of our last meeting's minutes. Do I get a motion to approve those?
I move to approve the motion.
I second the.
All right, and those in favor of approving those minutes do say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. And director's reports. Okay, Joseph.
Thank you, Chair Pastor. The
Yes.
first item for discussion today is our outdoor fitness area. For those of you like Chair Pastor who've been around for many, many years, this is an idea that we probably first talked about 3-4 years ago.
Yes.
We have a great vision for an outdoor fitness area. We have a beautiful location near Larkham Clubhouse at Westlake Park. A really well-traveled corridor for bicyclists, pedestrians, and runners. In fact, I happened to be there over the weekend. It is amazing the amount of north-south traffic, pedestrian traffic on the walking path on Lake Merced Boulevard heading between Daly City and San Francisco. It's amazing. We have a perfect site for a wonderful community project. And I think we showed pictures at one of our meetings. In fact, you've seen a couple of different renderings. So that's the background. I was hoping tonight I would sit here before you and say we just got a big hefty grant to get us going from County of San Mateo. But instead, I got the notice yesterday, we did not receive the grant that we were banking on to get the wheels in motion. So we're probably looking at about $120,000 project, and we've got about $20,000 secured and another $100,000 to go. You know, I was really counting on a contribution from the county, and thought it was a very worthwhile project for the fitness of the community, and obviously the people on the panel that awarded the funding didn't share that view. In their letter, they did explain it. They had millions of dollars in requests, and they didn't have that much at their disposal to award. So the amount they had to award was far less than the grants that were applied for. So we'll give it a shot, and I'm going to work with the group that we talked about, National Fitness. It's the C4, the National Fitness Council? No, whatever it is. They've had success in partnering with health-type organizations, whether it be hospitals, insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, people that want to invest into making the community healthy. And you know, hospitals are finding it's easier to invest on that end and keep the population healthy rather than deal on the treatment, especially you know, folks that aren't staying fit. So it's hopefully we'll find a partner down the road. But like I said, I was hoping tonight was going to be a cheery night to celebrate a big, juicy grant from the county, and it just didn't work out that way. So I'd be happy to answer questions if you have any.
You mentioned with the National Fitness group?
What the C is for, NFC.
National Fitness Committee, Council.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We know who they are,
That
yeah.
organization, are
They're very
they,
enthusiastic about it.
are they the group that's going to help with their partners to secure the balance to get this project
they're-
going? Or,
To the extent that they can.
okay,
You know, their flagship success story is what they have at Marina Green. in San
I've seen
Marina,
it,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I go
Um,
there, yeah.
So their vision is to spread this across the country. They really like this site in Daly City, and so they want us to be among the first 100 sites that open up in 2018, which is very ambitious for them, but they don't do the funding.
right, okay.
So they did award $20,000, which is more than they would normally do, but they understand our plight and our need, you know, financially. So they have said they have connected other people with hospitals, insurance companies that seem willing to. I've conceptually threw it out there to Kaiser to see what they thought, and they didn't say no. But I'll be honest, Kaiser is very supportive of our department. They just gave us a $5,000 check for our cultural arts programming to help, like the Phil-Am Festival. They're a big partner there.
Great.
They've given other donations to support the communities. I mean, they got senior centers. So, yeah, I don't know if they would be willing to invest $40 or $50 or $60,000, but I won't know until I ask. So
Right, right.
I was hoping I wouldn't have to.
And I take it that Daly City is, or particularly this project would welcome any philanthropists?
Absolutely.
Would welcome
Yeah.
that follow our same vision to help get this
Yeah,
project
and,
off the road?
And I know Vice Chair Cison has brought up the notion before of corporate sponsorships. To this day, we don't have any branded corporate sponsorships at any of our facilities, other than the one that I really want to get rid of, and it's, you know, there's a 7-Up sign on the scoreboards at the War Memorial
Right.
because they help pay for those signs. So that relationship's over.
Okay.
Those signs have got to come down
Yeah.
at some point. But you know, there's a lot of money in the Bay Area. There's a lot of corporate presence around Daly
Yes.
City, not a lot in Daly City, and you know, eventually we're going to make the right connection and you know, shake some money loose and invest in our community.
Do you have a, Chairman, do you have a presentation that, like a presentation kit that you've made in case
There is
somebody asks?
Yeah, I have a bunch of electronic documents specifically for this project that,
Okay.
that NFC did provide. The toolkit they gave us.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's,
okay, yeah. Yeah.
there's letters, there's news releases, there's I think short videos in there and PowerPoint
Yeah.
slides and illustrations. So yes,
So it's a good project though to keep.
I think it's a great
To
project.
keep the momentum, just, you know, a few thousands there, until we
Okay.
build something.
Right, at
And
least, at least
You know,
keep,
I drive by that site
It's beautiful.
sometimes 7 days a week.
I love that place.
And it's not used today.
Yeah.
It's an old style sand playground in a
Yeah.
beautiful park in a beautiful
Yeah.
setting, but the kids that use the playground use the ones by the tennis court.
yeah, I could
because
see
that's-
that being used by folks who occasionally walk or ride their bikes around Lake Merced, use it as
You
a
would
stop-off
be,
point.
I was,
Yeah.
when I just sat and
Workout.
watched for a little bit, well, I was just at the traffic signal in my
Yeah.
car, and it was like there was a parade.
Yeah,
There was a parade of pedestrians,
Yeah.
you know, going in both directions,
Yeah.
and they're walking right past that site. And I'm sure if there was something there,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I wouldn't take them from their walk or their runs, but I
Right.
think it would be a great way, you know, to augment their exercise routine by having some outdoor fitness equipment. I think would be spectacular.
yeah,
And I
like
think that
I've,
is the best place in Daly City for it.
But you know who funds that? I lived in Switzerland for 20 years. They call it the Vita Parkour, the life parks. And it's sponsored by the insurance companies. Because fitness, of course, you live longer, right?
Yeah.
So, and they have so much by the edge of the forest every time.
right.
So people with
Where is
bikes.
this?
And, in Switzerland, in Basel.
Oh.
So all the forested areas have those parks, and then where you can stop, and then they fund it actually, and so I think across sort of across sponsorship with the other companies where you have the,
Right.
and that's what they do. So it's very popular.
Right.
You know, it's funny, when this first hit our radar years ago, there wasn't one anywhere in the Bay
Yeah.
Area, and it was brought to us by the Rotary Club from a member who spent some time in Spain.
Yeah.
And she said the most spectacular thing in Spain for her, because she had a young son, was this
The
incredible
walkways.
outdoor fitness
Yeah,
area that was
yeah.
just
The
there for
walkways,
everybody to
bikes.
use. And she said,
Yeah.
wow, we need that here.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's how this started. And since then, the one at
Yeah.
Marina Green has opened, and now I understand there's one in South City, and a couple other cities down the
Yeah.
peninsula have some form of an outdoor
Yeah.
fitness area.
Right,
So,
right.
you know, we were once at the cutting edge, and we're starting to slide a little bit. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it'd be
but I
nice to
think-
move this one
Is
forward.
that presentation that we saw a while back still available as a video on a Daly City website, as a presentation piece?
It's archived. We could
It's
maybe
archived?
move it somewhere more prominent.
Okay.
Hmm,
Yeah, 'cause,
interesting.
Yeah, just thinking of how I can resource that to folks I do meet
Oh,
to kind of
yeah.
like go see it. You know, kind of like expand on my email network, friends. Yeah, okay, good. All right. Anything else relating to
Well-
the site, fitness site? Okay. Well, good.
That's actually a really good segue into our next item. It's another thing we've been talking about for the last couple of years. So backing up a little, not to bore you with too much background information, but you know, Daly City's been around for now 106 and a half years. So we're definitely an aging community. And a lot of our facilities, the one we're sitting in, is 50 years old. A lot of our park, playground, clubhouses are the same vintage because you know, there was a huge building boom after World War II. So we're going back 60, 70 years on some of our buildings. And so those are maintained through the Public Works Department for the city of Daly City. And they were realizing that there was more maintenance needs than they had money. And also acknowledging that maybe, you know, you acquire as a city, you acquire all these facilities, amenities, properties, and they're not necessarily all used or used in the best, most efficient ways.
Yeah.
So they wanted to embark on this really ambitious study of all of the facilities.
Audited?
The facilities assessment study.
Yeah.
They started this process a year ago. The document's about 9 billion pages. It's an incredible document because there was a third-party contract group that specializes in this, actually based in England, where it's a profession to do facilities assessment, building assessments, and that's how they maintain all those wonderful, you know, ancient buildings
Yeah.
in Europe. It's not a practice that's real common in the United States and in California, but it's starting to become, because we realize it's a lot more cost effective to take care of what we have. If you look at us historically, I think War Memorial is the poster child. We had a War Memorial Community Center built in 1951 that was a really nice center. Through neglect and the passage of time, by 2000, it was a shell of its former self. You know, the place was falling apart. It was stinky. It was, I mean, not to be gross, but it was infested with mice. And
Drainage problems.
So it got to the point where the maintenance didn't keep up with its use, and ultimately it was demolished. And that's we're kind of a throwaway society. Okay, we got 50 years out of this building. Let's tear it down and build another one. And I know if you travel through Europe, you know, it's not the same. We realize we just don't have the money to constantly rebuild it. Giamono Pool is another excellent example. That pool wasn't really that old. I mean, go to Hearst Castle and look at the pool over there. It's in pristine condition.
Yeah.
It's much older than Giamono Pool. So sort of the background of what they were doing with the facilities. That was just the actual physical buildings. The Dolger Senior Center, our 4 libraries, our fire stations, our city halls, our clubhouses. The next step of this process is what's on the agenda tonight, and it's a parks master plan. And that's really looking at our open space and parkland.
Yes, that's what we need.
Including things like tennis courts, non-building kind of things. And so
That's what we need, yes.
The facilities assessment is winding down. All of the data gathering is done. They're compiling it into a report. So now they're going to embark, and it's our Public Works Department is coordinating it, a Parks Master Plan. And some of the same reasoning is that we've got these parks, going back to Marchbank and Lincoln Park, both opened in 1941 on the same day, actually. And they've transformed over the years. Even during your time on the commission, you've seen some transformation. But the model, the sort of suburban park model from the 1950s and 60s is you have a lot of green space, a lot of lush lawn that's high maintenance, uses a lot of water and fertilizer and TLC to keep the grass cut and stuff. So, so some of that stuff is sort of fallen out of fashion, and you see more and more being replaced by the synthetic turf field like we have at Gellert. But we still have a lot of grass area too. And what they're discovering by really digging down into the communities, and I'm not speaking specifically about Daly City, but in general, they want to see things that they can use and actively engage instead of a passive. It's nice to have open space, but to have 6 acres of well-manicured lawn that nobody uses isn't probably the best use of that space. It's kind of like the golf course model where take up the best real estate, but the fewest people benefit from the use of it. And a lot of cities are converting those spaces into other types of uses, including tennis courts, pickleball, more sheltered picnic areas. What am I skipping? Different types of uses than would have been there traditionally.
More wholesome.
That's going to bring people together, and they're
wholesome,
doing more active things. Trends change. And we were talking in one community, it was one nearby here, that had an abundance of tennis courts. Like in the 100 and some tennis courts that the city was maintaining, and they realized they didn't have enough tennis players to ever fill those courts up, but they had a deficiency in basketball courts. The other one that comes up a lot is bocce. We have one bocce court in Daly City. That's another one of those. It's sort of like horseshoes. It kind of ebbs and flows in popularity. Bocce and pickleball right now are both kind of catching on pretty big. So, gosh, I wish I could remember what city it was. They ended up, instead of just rehabbing the tennis courts, they repurposed them into bocce courts, into pickleball courts, into picnic areas. And they still kept tennis courts.
Yes.
But what they thought was a more reasonable number that would be used more frequently, that they wouldn't just maintain for the sake of maintaining them because they'd always had them. So with all of that, that's a long-winded introduction into what is happening in Daly City next. On this past Friday, after requests for proposals went out a couple months ago, we had 4 very lengthy submissions by 4 consultant groups that were basically proposing to take on the job of doing our Parks Master Plan, with all of our effort. 3 of them were deemed worthy of interviewing. So we spent the full day on Friday last week interviewing them. And then in January, we bring forward a recommendation to award a contract to get that process going. And I wanted to make sure you guys were up to speed, because I remember at our last meeting, we had 2 volunteers to serve on that committee. It was Andrea and Christina. So one commonality, all 3 groups that we interviewed all really stressed the importance of having a solid steering committee made up of people like, from the commission and staff and community leaders, but also doing a lot of intercept interviews and surveys right there where the users are, in the parks, on the tennis courts, on the basketball courts, to get feedback from the community and have focus group meetings and hopefully really energize the community about, this is your city, and parks are a tremendous asset. There's tons of studies that good, well-maintained parks really do affect property values, morale, community pride. And so we're hoping to really energize the community and get them involved on helping create the master plan. So, the parks that future generations will use, they're having their starting point today with the beginning of this process. It'll be interesting because, I see this stuff every day. I have very strong opinions, but, that's my opinion. I think it's important to hear from the different user groups. And, we've got advocates that want a lot more dog park space. Definitely, we need improvement to our tennis facilities. Basketball is huge in Daly City right now.
Of course, yeah.
There aren't a lot of opportunities for kids to play outdoor basketball. Zero at Westlake.
Right.
One of our crown jewel parks, there's not a single outdoor basketball court there. And the ones they have at Geller are very well used. There's one at Lincoln, very well used. So I'm sure that's something that's going to come out. But
Repurpose, yes.
it'll be interesting to see.
It's a good word, yeah.
There's going to be competing interests. We can't possibly please all the interest groups because we don't have enough parkland. That's something we're also deficient on in general for a city this size with this population. We didn't earn the title of being one of the most densely populated cities in the country by having lots of acres of open space. We're really squeezed into a very small footprint here. But it'll give us an opportunity to look at the parks we have, both the bigger ones like Geller and Westlake and Hillside, and some of the smaller tot lots too.
Right.
And
It's good news.
maybe Commissioner Wilcox is watching, but I know, in our own neighborhood that we have a series of what we call tot lots, very small neighborhood parks or parklets. And like all the other parks, there's a lot of them were laid out 50, 60 years ago and never changed. And we're specifically meeting with Commissioner Wilcox at Hillcrest Park, John Daly Park on Hillcrest. You look at it from today's perspective and think, what were they thinking the way they laid this out?
Yeah.
It made sense back then, but
Right.
it doesn't necessarily make sense now. Multiply that times all the little parks and tot lots in Daly City, and it's a pretty ambitious undertaking. And it will also really help and guide Public Works as they go forward, our parks maintenance crews, on how to best allocate the limited funds we have. Now we do accrue park funds through development fees, so there will be some funds to address some of the low-hanging fruit and make some really dramatic improvements, I think, in the next 3 to 5 years. But it'd be nice to have a roadmap so that they can lay out a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and get all of our parks up to speed. We did this back Parks 2000 in year 2000.
That's right.
But we replaced a lot of playground equipment then, but we basically went into existing parks and replaced aging equipment. We didn't take the step back to say, is this what the people want? And I think really,
restructuring
if the Public Works Director were here, the light bulb moment came. Have you been out to Norwood Park? It's not far.
Right there off of Sarah Vista.
Yeah, the relatively new.
Yeah, has some new equipment put in there in the past.
Maybe
6
a year
months,
and a half ago.
7 months ago.
Oh, was it? I think it was at
maybe
least
a good year. Yeah.
Within the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's probably the newest, freshest stuff that we have in the community, and it was grant funded, and they did a nice job. But pretty much what they did was refurbishing existing park. And when they're out there at the ribbon cutting, your neighbors, they were saying nice things about it, but it's like, man, would have been nice if somebody asked us what we wanted. We'd love to have a basketball court here.
Yeah.
And they did. They put in some picnic tables. They basically, everything that was there, they ripped out, and they redid the asphalt and some of the landscape areas. But then they kept the same footprint and there was no change.
Yeah, from the demand.
And it was like, what were we thinking? No one thought to ask the immediate neighborhood, hey, do you use this park? What would you like to see there? What is there that you think is unnecessary? And a lot of our parks have these little barbecues. They've been there a million years, other than the barbecue at the Gellert picnic shelters.
Yeah.
People don't bring your family out to a little tiny tot lot to have a bar. People don't do that.
No.
But if you look around, we have lots of barbecues. So
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, that's-
anyway, it's going to be a wonderful opportunity. I'm looking forward to Commissioner Luna's willingness to participate on the steering committee.
Go for it.
And certainly you guys will be, asked for your input and guidance in the
Right.
process too, along with Commissioner Landis and Commissioner Wilcox. So.
Yeah. So when January comes along and the recipient is mentioned on who's going to be doing the survey from the three that's there now, is the survey something that's going to be starting in the spring or?
All three groups that we interviewed had some pretty ambitious timelines.
Okay.
They want to hit the ground rolling as soon as the contract is awarded and get into the surveys January, February, March. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
I will once it's awarded, and at the latest it will be awarded in February. We got a
Can't wait.
log jam of stuff to get through to City Council, but if it comes through in January, one of the first things I'd like to do once the contract is awarded is get them here to meet with you guys and go over what their action plan is,
Good.
and possibly enlist you with your contacts in the community or ideas. They've got every one of them we talked to has a multi-pronged approach to reaching the community. They mentioned the intercept surveys is the trend right now, where you actually meet the people where they are. But they do traditional things. They do telephone surveys. They do multi-language outreach. So they have bilingual helpers that will
Right.
get out and, into the Chinese community, into the Spanish-speaking community, into the Tagalog community. They're going to do a lot of social media stuff and direct people to other web resources.
That's good.
And people don't like to go to community meetings like they did once upon. It's harder to draw people in here, but maybe in a park on a Saturday and really try to rally the neighborhood to get them invested into the process. Is the plan.
Exciting times.
Good news.
Good news.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I wish I
Joe.
had all good news. The first report was kind of a bummer, but we'll get over that. We'll recoil and
Yeah. Well, good.
Try
Looking
again.
forward to that process next year when they start doing the surveys and all, getting input from the
yeah. And
from the
I hope
neighborhoods.
no later than our March meeting
Right.
to bring whatever team it is that wins the contract,
Yeah.
bring them to one of our meetings so you can get to know them and
Okay.
their work schedule.
Great. Okay, and so that concludes the director's report, unless there's any other questions that panel for Justin? Okay, and commissioner's report, anything that you're hearing in the community that you'd like to share with us this evening?
I don't have anything
You know?
today.
Just want to welcome everyone back from the hefty Thanksgiving event that we just celebrated, so welcome back. And but now moving over to the announcements and communications of dates coming forward. And this is just the one. I can go ahead and jump into that one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's next one on the calendar that's open to the public is the Frosty Fest, scheduled for Saturday, December 16th, between 4 and 6 p.m. in the evening over at the Pagelli Event Center within the Westlake Park area. That's at 145 Lake Merced Boulevard. And this is a very festive time where it's the youngsters are greeted by Santa and the tree lighting and festive music from the community. And a nice event to kick off the holiday season festivities with. So you're all welcome to come in and participate. And outside of that, that's the one and only event on the calendar that's related to our recreation department, unless there's something else that we might have missed.
There's all kinds of stuff happening. On that very same day, the members of the Dolger Senior Center supporters are having a holiday dinner in the cafe that afternoon too. So I think it's more of a lunch program. So if you happen to be a member of the supporters of the Dolger Senior Center, there's about 1,000 of them. They're going to have a great holiday party that day too.
Okay.
One other thing I want to mention, if you no longer receive the recreation activity guide in the mail, but we still print quite a few of them and have them for distribution. And in fact, there are some in this building. I'll make sure that you'll get copies of them to take home with you tonight. And it's also online.
Okay.
And all of our classes are available through Active. It's basketball season, Commissioner, Pastor. We took signups through last Friday, so we're shifting into basketball season in Daly City. So the gyms will be taken over by the mobs of Daly City kids in January through March. So we're looking forward to that.
Good. Great to see that activity come into play again.
Beautiful.
And the other thing I wanted to share too is this coming Monday, December 11th, is it?
Yes.
Right? Is the City Council reorganization meeting.
That's right.
So the City Council reorganization will take place in this room at 6 o'clock on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
We'll select a new mayor and vice mayor, and then after a short recess, they'll get into the regular business meeting at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And the public is invited to attend the reorganization meeting. So it's a well-attended meeting.
Yeah. So much so they open up the
Yes.
the partitions here.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a nice activity.
And traditionally, that's where the Citizen of the Year and Youth of the Year awards are given out at the reorganization.
Great. Well, that concludes this evening's meeting for tonight. And I'd like to, again, close by wishing everyone a happy holidays this coming December 25th. And as the New Year's approach, drive safely, party safely, and we'll see everyone next year. Do I have a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, a second.
Second.
All right, those in favor of adjourning this evening's meeting, do say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, this meeting now adjourned.